Live struggle legacy. It's a whole movement.
I got you, big baby. I keep the struggle live struggle, live music. Pay attention to how we do it. And so my dog who never made it out. Live struggle, I got you, homie. We break it out, live struggle, live music. Pay attention to how we do it. And so my dog who never made it out. Live struggle, I got you, homie. The things we do when we down on our luck, like a dolphin, anything to get fucked up. What you think? Now we out here trying to get locked up. Desperation brings desperate measures trying to come up. Hey everybody, it's your boy MP, Live Struggle Legacy, and welcome to the Live Struggle Legacy Podcast, Season 3. Now, real quick, if you haven't already done so, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, drop a comment. If you have a question for our guest today, drop it in the comment section. Start a conversation. If you're listening on a streaming platform, please make sure you hit that follow button, download, save, rate us. And if you're looking to promote your business, holler at me because we're looking for sponsors. Okay. So I have another remote guest in the house tonight, all the way from East Texas, none other than Ezra Vancil. He's a singer, songwriter, published author, and entrepreneur. Welcome to the show,
hey, man.
Brother.
Hey, MP, thank you for having me, man. I'm excited to be here today.
Excited to have you, and I'm excited to get your story out. I always like to know how you found us and what resonated with this platform that made you feel like you'd be a good fit for the Live Struggle Legacy platform.
Well, I listened to a few episodes and kind of got your story a little bit, which interested me a lot. But I think there's one, Ananda Rose show.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed that. It's just real honest, like just talking about whatever, like sitting in the middle of a conversation. I love that kind of podcast. So I thought, I'd love to jump on here and tell my story.
Absolutely, and that's what we do. We tell real, true, authentic stories here, and I feel like you're a good fit. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not here to wallow in adversity. What we're doing is we're here to transform pain into purpose, and we're telling our stories to provide inspiration for those who may be going through something, and to prove that you can be going through something and still follow through with your dreams despite adversity. So ultimately, what we do here at Live Struggle Legacy is we transform adversity into legacy.
Right, man. Well, man, yeah. Once again, I just thank you so much, and thank you for doing this. I really think you're doing a great thing here with this podcast.
I appreciate that a lot, Ezra. Yeah. And I'm excited to learn more about you. I mean, I dove a little bit into the bio that you sent, but I want to get right in. I mean, tell us your story. What's your live struggle, Ezra? However deep you want to go into it.
Yeah. Well, for me, it really kind of starts with, I grew up in a very religious household, but they were musicians. They were gospel singers, and we traveled a lot. And so I became a musician. And when I was in my late teens, I was in a band, and it got signed to an LA deal, which was a pretty substantial deal. This is back in the 90s where it actually mattered. You get record deals. And I was like this poor kid, traveled all around, and then small towns, and then suddenly I'm just thrust into, the rock and roll life and touring, and, felt like I had a blank check to do whatever I wanted, and I did. And so in my teen years, I just overdosed on that rock and roll lifestyle, but everybody was, so it's no big deal. And the band, blew up during that time, and I went on and had an on and off again music career through my 20s. It did well sometimes, but I had dropped out of school, got married, and I was gonna be a rock star. I had no plan B. That was it. And so when it all started falling apart, I started just leaning real heavily on alcohol and for drugs, but mainly my love was alcohol, and being in clubs, all the time, every weekend. It wasn't even noticeable, that I kind of started stepping over a line, and I didn't know I'd stepped over this line. And by the time I hit my 30s, I was just all day, every day, whenever I could, just go to oblivion drunk. And, crashed one marriage and jumped right into the next one. I was married within like 6 months to another woman, which I'm still married to today. And went into this, I call it this time where I just walked off of a cliff, man, into just like despair. My plan had not worked out for my life at all. And I just went deeper in the bottle and then went into depression, eventually just decided to end it all. And I've had several attempts to take my life, started landing in jail, so many hospitals, I don't, like mental hospitals and stuff. I don't even know. Me and my wife couldn't even count how many. I would spend part of the year, like they knew my name when I came into these places. They'd be like, oh, there's Ezra again. And so my life in my 30s was just devolving into like this hell, man. And it was bad. And then probably the last straw is I lost music. When one of my attempts, I hurt my arm bad enough where I couldn't use one of my hands. And I play guitar, so I wasn't able to play guitar. And it's like all these consequences. Pretty soon I had a felony. It was the kind that's really embarrassing. I blacked out, decided to go get some drinks and put my kids in the back of the car. So it's like like the kind that, you like trying to get a job after that, forget it, man. Because what they get on their paper when they did a background check, it looked really bad. And so just fell into just all this self-hatred, guilt, just got worse to the point that pretty much my family, my wife, they didn't really consider I'd live, past my 40s, or I'd end up being in prison. And it just, and the weird thing was all these consequences kept piling up. But I just went deeper and deeper into it. I was just trying to end it all, just get off. I screwed up my round on earth. I got to just get out of here. And by some blessing, I had a few attempts that really worked. And just by some strange little miracle in both of those, I somehow they got me back, to this planet and alive. And but
So you
right
actually
there,
freaked out for
oh yeah, I did it right, man. I like waited till the family left. I had a plan. I even went online and like planned it all out. And one of the attempts is just the strangest thing. Like the one thing I didn't plan is my dog got out. And so I had one where these were both drugs I was going to end my life with. And my dog got out, and my father-in-law saw my dog running around the neighborhood and came over and looked in the window, was banging on it, and saw me laying on the floor. And that's one where the doctor said, just 5 more minutes. If somebody wouldn't have got there, I would be dead. And then I had another one another year after that I tried again and planned it all out. I was really trying to do it. And in that one, the ER doctor came out and told my wife, asked her for my living will, and told her I wasn't coming out of there. And she screamed at him and said, get back in there. He is too. And that's the kind of woman I married. She was, and I somehow made it through both of those. And those are incredible stories in themselves, all the kind of miraculous things that were happening, but I didn't see them, man. I was just lost in this darkness. And I was facing prison at that time too. And it was kind of like, I'm just going to end it. I'm not going to go do my time. But something happened there right at the end. I was almost 40. So I could just talk about those consequences all day, but I don't want to stay there because they just got darker and darker. My wife left, lost my kids, CPS, deemed me an unfit parent. Music nobody wanted to play with me because I just would fall off stages because I was so drunk. And then right when I was about to turn 40, I had this one night, my wife had left me, was wanting divorce. And I woke up on the floor after a blackout, and I looked down at my phone, and there was just this wall of text, and it was all just like crazy stuff. And I looked down, and it was to my son, who was 14 years old at that time. I had 2 kids, and he was just begging me to stop. And why are you doing this to me? And just something it just cracked inside of me. I just broke and said, I can't be this. I can't be this guy. My dad, I think he's a wonderful guy, but I had a lot of things I blamed him for in my young life. And I'd come out to be a far worse father than he ever was. And I just I couldn't even, no longer, I didn't want to end it anymore. I wanted a little bit more time not to die this man. And so I had like this spiritual moment. At the time, I called myself an atheist at the time, but I just fell on my face and said, whatever's out there, whatever powers, created me, I'll do anything, absolutely anything. Just I don't want to be this anymore. And my life started to change that next day. I woke up and I just had this thought, with felony, they put me into 12-step meetings and I hated them, but I had to go get my paper signed. And I just woke up that next day, and the first thing that popped in my head, because there's a 12-step meeting down the road, was just walk over, get in your car, and go over to this 12-step meeting. And that's the last place. I'd have hated these guys. I couldn't stand, what I thought they were. But I remembered that prayer, and I said, well, I could at least do that. If I'm going to say I could do it, I'll do anything. And then to go, no, I don't want to do that. I said, okay, I'll do that. And I went there, and just something happened in me. And really what it was that day with those people in that group is I saw that this was never going to end unless something changed. I actually saw that there's no more hope of me getting out of this. It's like the elevator's going down, and I can step off right now, or I can let it keep going down and down and down. And on that day, I just decided to get off the elevator. And that's the last drink I had or drug. That's 13 years ago. And from there, it's a hard story because all those consequences didn't stop. But man, something changed deep in here when you decide I'm going to change, and I really meant it. Suddenly, like all this, like the spiritual help came to help me. And even though I was still dealing with divorce and, I was still facing prison at that time, it didn't matter because something was changing deep in here,
Yeah.
So that's kind of the nutshell of the story there.
So just to kind of fill in some blanks, this was all happening at a Dallas, Texas area?
Yeah. Oak
Okay.
Cliff. Yeah. I lived in a place called Oak Cliff in Dallas.
Okay. And if you don't mind me asking, what kind of drugs were you taking?
Oh, dude. So, well, first of all, when I was 30, I got on, prescription drugs. They said I was bipolar type 1. Pretty soon they said I was schizoaffective. And so that came with a whole little bag of drugs I was on, trazodone and Klonopin and, things to put me to bed and wake me up, antipsychotics, antidepressives. And so I had that. I had prescription drugs. I really abused the Klonopins and stuff like that and the muscle relaxers they gave me. So I had that kind of going. And then when I got a felony, which I was probably like 36, 37, and I always smoked pot and stuff. And really that was the extent of my drugs. Sometimes, you might sprinkle, like when I was younger, a little cocaine on the pot and smoke that or something, and little stuff like that now and then. But one of the worst like drugs I got into was they call them was it K12 or K2? And I guess they call them bath salts because I was on a blower for, I don't know, 4 years of when I was still drinking, and it was on my truck. But you could take these drugs and they wouldn't show up on your test.
Well, you were driving for a living.
Well, I had a job, believe it or not, during this time. Most of the time, sometime for a few years, I'd be off and on at jobs. So I tried to keep a job. And so I would take like these, these bath salts or whatever they call them designer drugs that don't show up on your test.
No, because I know K2 is synthetic weed.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you do K2?
I've never done it, but I did, I did some time in prison, Ezra. And so in there, it doesn't show up in your system. So it was really easy for them to get it in. Right. Mm-hmm. So, Man, you wouldn't believe the shit that I've seen in prison with K2. I mean, I could tell you stories all day. I'm not trying to glorify anything. It was awful.
No,
Man.
man, I want to hear. I want to hear about this because I had some crazy shit go down with
Oh
K2.
man, every single day. I'm not exaggerating. I was in Yazoo City, Mississippi. All right. Every single day in Yazoo City, they would what they call hit the deuces. What they say hit the deuces because that's when the cops will hit the body alarm when there's an emergency, right? Whether somebody's fighting, a correction officer is being attacked, or a medical emergency, so that everybody gets locked in where they're at, and the whole compound, all staff, they run to wherever the issue is. They call it hitting the deuces, right? And every single day in Yazoo City, Mississippi, they hit the deuces because somebody either fell out on Spice and started convulsing on the ground, having seizures, or spazzing out. I can remember this guy, this young guy. I was in a drug program. I did an 18-month residential drug program in federal prison called RDAP, Residential Drug Treatment Program. And in that program, in the drug program, coincidentally, there was a guy, young guy, who smoked. They were calling it spice. I mean, there's all different things. It's synthetic chemicals that they put on herbs, and then they smoke it, but it's synthetic chemicals. And he had a broken leg at the time. And I guess he was smoking this shit and then went out into the common area where our guidance counselor was. We had the same guidance counselor. I mean, she's a cop, but, in there's your counselor. And he stood up with the broken leg and was like going after her, beating on his chest, saying King Kong ain't got shit on him, and they had to tackle him. They had to bust him up, and when something like that happens, you never see these people again. But I mean, time and time again, I remember another guy in Mississippi, in Yazoo City, big guy. It was about 4:00 in the morning. They would go smoking in the shower. When everybody was sleeping, he was smoking in the shower, and he starts spazzing out, beating his locker, like screaming. He's a big, scary guy. I mean, he was an all right guy. I knew him, but he was an all right guy. But he's big, and so for him to be like raging was kind of scary. He's screaming and yelling, talking about the devil, how he saw the devil, and they were trying to calm him down so that the cops wouldn't come in and shake everybody down, because everybody's got this shit. Everybody's smoking this shit, and like finally I think they calmed him down. They got him in the shower or something. But I remember it being terrifying. I mean, this man was screaming like he saw the devil. I mean, going completely out of his mind. I mean, I couldn't even believe that nobody came, in terms of like, us being locked down and everything. But I mean, I could go on and on about stories. I've seen plenty of guys taken away on stretchers, never coming back. I mean, all from this, K2, this spice, this synthetic weed shit, man.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine some of the experiences you had. And the thing that blew my mind, Ezra, I mean, I've smoked weed most of my life, and I always looked at weed as just a plant, just a flower. And some of these guys who I really respected, I didn't see them as like crazy, like drug using guys, like even some guys that were like Rasta guys, they would smoke this shit, and I would look at them like, man, that's not weed. I don't know what the fuck that is. That shit was made in China somewhere. You know what I mean? And
yeah, the closest thing I've had to that is like a PCP high, but this was nothing like it, because I smoked weed and hash and nothing. I mean, there's no comparison to what goes on with K2. I got to tell you this though, because I haven't really talked to anybody that knew anything about it. So I there's like half a year of my life when I smoked this that it doesn't exist. Yeah. I would just stay high all day long, and it's like even the bad years when I was drunk, I remember like being on the planet, but there's an entire I could have done anything, and what stopped me like all my tracks was someone down the road from us on 30 in Dallas on K2 had eaten. It was on the news. They had eaten somebody's face. It was under a bridge.
That, man. That was everywhere in the news. Yeah.
Dude, that's the last time I did it, because I could see how I could do that, because I would disappear. I would just disappear from my body for weeks at a time. And I could see how anything could happen, and it just scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, man, that's some scary shit. I don't mean to take you down that path. Like, I know you've been in recovery for quite some time.
I don't mind.
Trying to get because I know that's not what you use to try to check out, right?
No.
What was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. So, well, there's two stories of that. So I've had one attempt where I actually, tried to slice my arm and go, and that one didn't work, and it was really messy and painful, and like I said, I lost the use of my hand for a long time. So when I came back, I was like, I'm going to do it with drugs, and actually got on the internet back then and got on a forum and found a forum that'll help you find drugs to kill yourself.
Oh wow, what the fuck?
And so, yeah, man. So this is like back then, this is like
That's the
early,
internet for you.
yeah, dude. And so they're like helping me, and I had so many drugs because had all these pharmaceuticals and Xanax and muscle relaxers. I had back problems, and I had hydrocodones, and so I took what I did is I took every drug I had in the house, and I can't remember like exactly how many, but it was something like one of them was gosh, this has been a long time. The one you take for lithium, took about 200 pills of lithium,
Holy
along with
shit, man.
maybe 10 painkillers, which I don't know what kind they were. Bunch of like maybe 100 muscle relaxers, everything that was in the house, and then there was, but with this was the one where they were like, yes, you're going to go to sleep first, and you're just going to die, and then you won't feel a thing. So whatever it was in there was something like 400 or 500 pills in me when they got me to the hospital. And the second time was the same thing, but I had a lot more hydrocodones, and I had a lot more muscle relaxers, and I don't remember the exact thing. Trazodones, bunch of trazodones, same thing, just hundreds of pills, and both, man, incredible things. I got, I'm feeling like telling this one story because this one time they put me on watch when I was there at that first time that I tried to do this. And that means there's a nurse sitting by you all night, every night. And so I was calling myself an atheist. I like read all the atheist books and like would fight with people for a little while in my life, a couple of years. And this was during that time. And I woke up just like in a dream for like 3 days, just coming off all these pills. And every time I'd wake up, there was a nurse there, and she'd be praying for me. She'd like have her hand on me, and I'd wake up and it'd be a different nurse from all these different nationalities. And one time I woke up and I remember this lady, and she was like an Indian lady, and she asked if she could pray for me. And then there was a black lady, and she asked if she could pray for me. And then I had this nurse that would take me out for cigarettes in the middle of the night, one of my nurses, and she took me out one time she said, I have a gift for you. And she took me all the way down in the bowels of this hospital. I didn't know what was going on. And she started singing to me in this hallway. And she was singing something like the Lord's Prayer or something like that.
Okay.
And it was amazing. And it was like all this love just pouring down on me. Yet I was so dark in that time, I couldn't see it. But I had stuff like that, happen that just was incredible. Like it was like, the God of the universe was reaching down and going, hey, you don't have to live like this.
Sending you angels, brother.
Sending me angels, man. Yeah.
Yes,
But it was dark, dude. I also had electroshock therapy. They call it ETC now, which is, they did everything. I mean, I was basically like this guy that couldn't leave alone. My family couldn't leave alone, or I'd try to kill myself. And so it just it got so dark that, I don't believe in like a hell like I was raised in, like this eternal thing. I don't believe God would do that. But I tell you what, man, there's something like hell on earth,
Yes, sir.
and it's inside here. And and the thing is I realized like I have the key too. I can walk out. I didn't have to stay there, and that's what I did, when I got out.
What I'm pulling from your story, Ezra. Well, first of all, let me just say this, man. You're meant to be here, because if you did all that and like really try to check out and you were taking all these things, I mean, I've lost a lot of friends who just partied too hard and didn't make it.
Yeah.
So the fact that you had all this in your system, and that doctor told your wife to make your living will or find your living will, it's like, man, you were meant to be here. You were telling me you got all these angels praying over you, so to speak, right? And so you know, you're here for a reason, brother, right?
Yeah.
And I know we're gonna get into that because I know you've been cooking. You haven't just been sitting on your butt since then. You've been making some things happen. You've been moving. You've been shaking, and you've been putting your story out. I imagine to help others, right? So but I just want to get into the tipping point, like what turned it all around for you. You mentioned that text or the stream of text from your 14-year-old son. Was that like the turning point for you where you realized that you had to do something?
Yeah. I don't know why that was the night that did it, because it's not like I didn't do a lot of terrible things, but that night was it. I had, it's like something they say in recovery. I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I could
Yeah.
not stand one more day of it. And that was the turning point. And I did 12-step recovery. And, and actually my wife's an alcoholic. And when I started getting sober, she divorced me because she didn't want to be with somebody sober. So those years of building were tough, man. But I was so changed inside because I was walking towards something real now, where before I was running from my fear. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
every day was like I was confronting a new fear, and it
Yeah.
makes you feel alive. And
Yeah.
so it's weird to tell people, like back then, they'd come over and I would just be laughing. People would be like, "What's wrong with you, dude?" Because I was happy and just smiling and laughing because I just felt so alive that I was trying to live, and I didn't care about my position. I could barely, the lights were always going off. I couldn't pay the bills. Didn't matter. And so there's this kind of beautiful rebuild time in there where, and for me, it was a new spiritual, like I said, I was raised very religious. I rejected that when I was towards the end of those dark years. And I came back to it with a whole new uh, look at it. And it was with a humility of, it's really just kind of, God, you show me who you are. I'm going to quit thinking I know all this stuff, and I'm going to show up, and I'm just going to do what's in front of me. And that's it. I'm going to trust that you're there,
Yeah.
and that something's working for me. And I just started seeing my life completely change, both externally, but more importantly, internally. Just starting to see, getting a view of myself and seeing how I'd hurt people. I didn't just walk away from this fire that I started of my life and be like, well, I'm better now. I just started seeing how much I hurt people, and what a part I played in my own misery. I
Yeah.
was just that I was the main instigator in this shit. And that's freeing though, because now I got something to look at and something to work on. Before it's just like this world was just happening to me. Now I could see, no, I'm causing so much of this, and I got a lot of work to do to go back and start to heal this family that I've broken. And so yeah, that's kind of the road I got on. My wife divorced. She actually, within a year, she hit her rock bottom. She ran off with another guy, but she hit her rock bottom and came home and said, uh, I think I'm an alcoholic too. And I said, cool, let's go do something. And I took her to a meeting, and she's sober now. I think 11 years now.
Wow. So your
Yeah.
wife, this is the wife that left you when you got sober because she wasn't
Yeah.
ready. But
She
this
wasn't
is
ready
also the same wife that told those doctors that
to get back
you,
in there.
yeah, okay, wow, man. That's
Yeah, dude.
beautiful.
And she came back. She's with me now. She's a beautiful, strong woman, And
Congrats, man. That's a beautiful
yeah,
thing right there.
oh, it's wonderful. And the healing even farther, because like my son, I think he suffered the most damage from me because he was the oldest, and he now works for me in my business. He's my main man. He's my manager of my business, and we
Excellent.
work together every day. And we've had a lot to heal. And that's the thing, though. When I quit doing the alcohol and the drugs, I can wake up each day and face it. And if something's broken with my son or a relationship, we can work on it. I'm not continually making the mess worse and worse and worse, which is what I was doing. Where it could never be healed. I still mess up, but not in a way that can't be where we can't work through it.
Yeah.
And so that's like the biggest miracle. And I play in a band with my daughter, so it's like the whole
Oh,
family
wow. Man,
kind of
that's
came back
awesome.
together. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It's like
how,
it's like a life I couldn't even imagine, man. I couldn't imagine. And some people might even think I don't deserve the life I have. I couldn't imagine that I'd have my family back, a business, you know, playing music. I just can't even imagine how that could have happened from where I was.
So you mentioned a prayer that you held on to, right? You didn't mention what prayer. Was that the Serenity prayer?
No, no, my prayer. So I love the Serenity prayer. I use that. Yeah, there's a few prayers, that and Saint Francis prayer. But in my early years, I had my own prayer, and it was just, God, show me who you are. That's it.
Yeah.
And I didn't pray a lot. I didn't sit and, no offense, I love, scripture and stuff, but I didn't sit and read scripture. I got up every day and I went out and started trying to fix the things I've broken and change my life, and just prayed that, show me who you are. I'm not going to guess anymore. I'm not going to think I'm so smart to know all this crap, because I have to fill in the blanks there. When I was young, I got super religious, and I would sit there and I'd pound people over the head with the Bible, and like, I was a complete hypocrite, because then I'd go home and get wasted. But something in me wanted me to control even God, like thinking I know all this knowledge, that I even know, everything about God. But when I came back, I didn't want to know anything. I just want to know who you, show me who you are. I'm going to quit thinking I know best,
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds to me like, you rebelled because religion was pushed on you early on. But
Yeah.
it seems like through these struggles, right, through this life that you had kind of created for yourself, through whatever was going on with you, the reason you were making these choices, it seems to me like you found spirituality, which
Yeah.
in my opinion is a very different thing from religion.
Very
Correct me
different.
if I'm wrong. I don't want to put words
Completely, man. Completely. And it is something of a, I call it like experiential faith.
Yeah.
My faith now is based on experience. I actually base it on humbling myself, praying to the creator of the universe for help, and seeing that help show up.
Yeah.
There's my faith right there. Because every time I do that, I see that happen. And now I was real angry at religion, and that when I was first sober, I was still kind of getting over that. And now I just see that as that's their path, that's working for them, and I even enjoy when somebody's talking to me about, religion or something. I want to see what they're saying. I'm not going to block it all off, because there's something there for me too.
Absolutely.
And I've slowly gotten back where I can read scripture and enjoy it, but it for me, it's just it's an experience.
Yeah.
It's like, to me, it's so different, because back then it was my knowledge. It was like my knowledge was the thing that put me before God and saved me and kept me from, and now it's my relationship with this power that's greater than me. Yeah. And that relationship comes with not just my thoughts or me blabbing my mouth, with my life. I wake up and I say, this is yours, all of it, whatever, you gave me this business and you gave me this music, but it's all yours. What do you want me to do? And I'm not saying I do that perfectly, but that's just my spirit now. I just want to give it,
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. So, you're talking about your business, and you talk about when things weren't doing so great, but I want to dive into something, man, because you sent me a quote, and it said that restoration, not recognition, is the deeper measure of a life and a career.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Absolutely, man. Well, I like to say, don't aim at fame, aim at wholeness. Like, fame is completely, this is what I aimed at my whole life, and it got me just emptiness.
Yeah.
The more people I got around me, the more empty I got. Aim at wholeness, and that in that wholeness is like all that you need for creativity, to create a business that's actually, not just successful, but that's helping other people. It's like even that, like, there's ways to look at it in music where, recognition, I really can't, there's no value in recognition. We think, I'll hear kind of things, and they're kind of bumper sticker cliches where, well, you could help all these people if you don't have anything to give away. You got to have something to give away. So, when I'm looking at wholeness and reconciliation of my own soul, then whoever I meet, I have something to give to them, and recognition is what people seek for, but I don't know many of them that I know that have done that, that have anything to give, to that recognition. I didn't have anything of any worth to give to them except all my pain, and to put more pain out there in the world, and anger and hatred. That's all I had to give. And so, yeah. But anyways, I just feel like going for like the goal to be in your music and everything is wholeness in yourself, and then what's going to flow out of it is good fruit and beautiful things, and you don't have to worry about recognition. You may get it, you may not. Who cares? That's not what is going to bring peace into your life.
So basically, you're saying that restoration, it's like filling your cup, right? You're filling your cup. As long as your cup is full, it's going to spill over.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, man, I think like when I was younger, and this might be like growing up on Disney and everything, you think, I want to go out and change the world, Well, the real way you change the world is that person right in front of you.
Yeah.
I mean, like immediately, today, like at the store, that you're yourself. And as soon as you start changing yourself, then you're changing that person you're in your family that's next to you. Your family starts changing around you. And that's what it is when you focus there, then good things are just going to flow out of it. It's not going to, you're chasing the wrong end of the stick when you're chasing the fame and the recognition,
Yeah. Well, and that kind of goes hand in hand with what you said about the creative process. You said that creative block is spiritual at its core, and that honest art only flourishes with a realigned sense of self and humility.
Yeah. Well, I think like the spirituality that I found is stop. I quit looking for outcomes. It kind of goes back to that prayer of, who are you and what is your will for me? What do you want? Not, and that's part of the 12 steps is, the whole turning your will in your life, so I got that. I learned that from this program, is that no longer is the outcome. I don't want whatever outcome I have. And so in creativity, back in the day, I was looking for the outcome. First of all, is recognition, but also the outcome of whatever I was creating to glorify me, to say something. Really what I wanted it to say is how much I hated life. A lot of my music was really dark, and I wanted everybody else to feel this with me. And now I give up that outcome in everything I do and creativity. And then suddenly my creativity is free. It's you see, I'm like, when I've got an outcome, I'm like channeling it in this very small place, and it has to stop here at my outcome. When I say no outcome, and that's the spiritual side of creativity, is just what does this expression want to be? It can go anywhere. And suddenly there's a wholeness to what I'm creating and putting out into the world.
And authenticity.
Authenticity, which this world is starved for, man,
Yeah.
And when it's out there, it lives on, something that's authentic.
Yeah, absolutely. That's whenever you say wholeness, I think of, authenticity, what's real and true, right? And that's different for all of us because all of us are different. But when we can tap into that, and I think the only way to tap into that is through restoration of self, right? When we're spread all thin, trying to, keep up with whatever trend and, trying to create whatever outcome, we lose that sense of self. And it takes, that kind of deep dive to really restore that self, to find out, well, who is the true authentic self and what do I need to become whole? And it's from that place that creative process can really begin to flourish, because it's coming from a different place, like a different frequency, even, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's when I was empty, all I could give was more emptiness out there. But when I'm whole, which is, you're right, it's authentic. It's just being who you are. It's not being, I'm not a saint. I'm not, some days are better than others, but I want to be a true human, that's healing and that's being restored. And then suddenly what I make, it can be more there's a whole, like, I have an actual I can feel the difference in my music, where now my music, when I play, I play for a lot of house concerts and stuff, and there's tears in the audience. And I've had people, and I'm not like tooting a horn, just to kind of show the kind of stuff that happens now. I've had people several times after a show, like one guy, he told me later, when I saw him again, that he went home that night and said, I'm living in a bullshit life. And and he quit his job. He had a really good job and has a whole different life now because it wasn't an authentic life. Yeah. And it wasn't from anything I told him he needs to do. I don't have any answers for him. It's me standing up there and being authentic in myself. And people can see it's like, oh, I don't have to live in this bullshit anymore. And I don't have to do this. He's not doing it,
You're leading by example, by living in your true, authentic truth that's inspiring other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, man. And that's what this podcast is about, bringing people like yourself that have seen rock bottom, that have literally died and come back to life, right? And to see that you're still pushing, and that once and it was through that dark place that you found that light, where you found that wholeness, where you restored that self to bring you into this space of like who you really are and what you really want to do, and finding your life purpose and sharing that life purpose with the world.
Absolutely. That's what it is.
Tell us about your music, man. So you mentioned it. It's folk rock, right?
Yeah. Folk rock, you think?
Put in the box, right? I mean, I'm sure it's unique, but do you have any like influences that we could potentially like compare it to? I'm sure your music is one of a kind sound, but
yeah. Well, I mean, like old school stuff. So my music probably sounds like it's from the 70s. So if you think of like Neil Young,
okay,
from back then, Bruce Springsteen, kind of his acoustic side. I get compared to him a lot. But it's kind of just earthy folk rock, acoustic music with a beat.
Excellent. And so you got this double album out right now.
Yeah.
Now I love that you said double album, because I haven't even heard that term in a really long time, man. And I'm from the old school where we used to love the double albums. That was such a special thing, right? But I think of it as like a CD. Did you actually do CD print? Double album?
I did vinyl and CD.
Excellent.
I got yeah. I was kind of rebelling against this idea because it's all singles now. And, I love doing a single, but I can't tell a story, on a single.
Yeah.
And this story, this was a double album. I wanted to kind of take those years where my wife divorced me. I actually wrote almost a whole album, but I didn't put it out because it just didn't feel right at the time. And so the first album is Midnight, which is from those dark years. And then Morning is the second side of the album, which was written right now. And so it's kind of like the dark and the light all in one little package,
Yeah, man. Midnight to Morning is the name of the album?
Midnight and Morning and Midnight. Yeah.
Morning and Midnight.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I wrote a book at the same time. I was writing poetry, and I got into writing poetry. And it's kind of like what you're talking about, like getting away from all the noise out there and like going, what's going on in here, man? I get caught up in it. I know we all do. And I get caught up, and it's not as bad as K2, but I can like miss weeks of my life just getting caught up in this world. Yeah. And this album, I moved out to East Texas, and I've got like a little forest out here, and intentionally just backed out of the world. I threw my phone in the trash, and I would get up in the morning and I'd go sit out in the woods with a little fire and write songs and write in my book. And so this album was kind of born out of that silence to really kind of pull back and say, like a little post right here in my life and go, this is what I am right now,
Yeah. And your daughter performs on this album with you?
Yeah. Yes. My daughter's all over this album.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We actually have a separate band together called Cozy and a Flounder. So we tour and play, make our own albums. But now she's so much a part of my music. She co-writes with me that we're just going to I don't know what we're going to call it yet, but we do everything together now. When I write a song, I want to call her and say, come help me finish this. And so she's a big part of my music right now.
That's amazing, man. And what does she play? So she sings, she writes. Does she play as well?
She plays guitar.
Excellent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's an amazing singer. She, you know, growing up in the rock and roll life and in the music career, when she's real young, she'd always like sit and be very interested in my music, and I didn't want her in that life because I'd been there, man. It's not good for a girl, you know, because they, you know, well, everybody knows what, you know, what the plans are for a beautiful young woman, what happens in the music industry. And I just didn't want her to do that. So I didn't get her lessons, and my wife would get mad at me. And I was like, no, if she really wants it, you can't stop her. And so she just started learning on her own. She started writing songs. And then at that point, I was like, okay, I'll step in because there's no stopping her. I wanted her to show me that she really. And so the beautiful thing is she started with my band, and then we started a band. So now we've been playing together probably 7 years. And she's just, we're together if we go anywhere, you know, in the industry or in clubs and stuff.
That's excellent, man. Excellent. So,
Yeah.
morning and midnight.
Yeah. Morning and midnight.
And so this book, so now you're now a published author. You were talking about writing poetry. Is this a poetry book?
Yeah. Well, it's mostly poetry, but it's poetry and journals. So it's my journals from during making this album and kind of reflecting on these years that we've been talking about. And then a lot of poetry, which is inspirational poetry that I would write really to myself to keep me going, because this was a really hard year of making this. My business was just kicking off and was very busy. And then I was trying to make this double album. And so I would wake up and write poetry that would inspire me, you know, kind of digging in my soul and kind of finding something that gave me hope each day to get through the day and to do the work that I wanted to do that day. So it's a little bit of both. It's poetry, it's inspirational writings and journals from this time of making the album.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. And it's also titled Morning and Midnight.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Excellent.
Yes.
And is that out on everywhere, like the Amazon and
no, right now it's on limited release. You can get it just off my website.
Oh, excellent.
Okay, yeah. And the album is being released one song at a time on streaming. So I think there's probably 6 songs now that are released. So every month.
You haven't released the full album out.
No, I'm releasing it. I'm dripping it out one song at a time. And the book will probably, I'm trying this summer, I'll have it on Audible and on Amazon and everything. But right now there's a limited copy on my website.
Excellent. I think that's pretty wise of you, man. You know, to control that funnel. Absolutely. Yeah,
because once you throw it out there, you know, it's been helpful because when people hear stuff, they come in and I really want people to experience it on vinyl because it was made with a lot of analog stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so if I threw it all out there, then, you know, but nobody would buy the vinyls. But so I've sold quite a few vinyls with people that want to hear the whole thing. And so it's been good.
Man, you know, there's a young kid I know. I have a sound engineering background. I went to school for it here, and I met this young kid in school, and he has a recording studio called Zen, and it's an all analog studio. This kid cuts tape, man.
Yeah.
He cuts tape. Like
That's what we used to do.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty amazing. So like I'm sure you know about once we drop this episode, I'm gonna put him on to your music.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I started in studios when I was in like '93, and so that's what we do. If we want to loop a track, you got the razor blade out, and you cut it, tape the loop together, and so I've done quite a few albums on analog, and I'm trying my next album. I'm trying again to do more analog approach to things, not pure analog, but a lot of analog.
Excellent. So right now it can only be found on your website.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Right now.
So send them to the website, man. What's your website?
Yeah. It's my name, EzraVancil.com, and on there you'll find that there's quite a few vinyl albums and stuff, but you should be able to, if you look around, find all my streaming links. I've got hundreds of songs out on Spotify and Apple you can check out. And the whole album will probably be out this year sometimes. It's just coming out a little bit slow
Okay, excellent,
Hmm.
excellent. You got to get that algorithm going for you,
That's
right?
right, man. That's right. It
Absolutely.
works. Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same thing with my music. So, and that's EZRA V as in Victor ANCIL.com.
.com. That's it.
Ezra
Yeah.
Vancil.
Yes.
Okay, excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. So, man, like you really inspire me with what you have going on with your kids. I'm a dad. I have a 7-year-old son, and I've
Mm,
been going through some major, major life things. Where I have 50% custody of my son, and I'm just
mm.
trying to position my life to where I don't have to depend on childcare, where I could bring him with me to work all the time, maybe even eventually have him work for me. So you telling me that your son works for you in your business, man, that's incredible, bro. Like that's like a
Yeah.
dream come true for me. So tell us about that. Tell us about this business that your son manages with you.
Yeah. So I went probably about 6 years ago. I went into business with my brother, and it's a fuel delivery company. It's nationwide fuel, and it was just a little local place when we started. And so my job is I've come in and taken it national. I'm trying to, you know, get it across the entire United States. So that's our business. And my son came in, and he first just started as an assistant. I was training him in marketing. That's my specialty in the business. And over time, he's just taken over each little. He's understood every little role, and now he's over all of my department, about 8 people, and he's the manager, and he's really my second hand man. But I tell you, man, so that just what we were talking about, because I've been through the similar things. I've been through a major custody battle with his mom's my first wife, and I think it's the same thing. Is that what I did was, instead of like trying to make something happen that I couldn't control, I just turned my attention to things that I can, and that was getting my own business together, getting myself. I had a hard time. A musician, I had a really hard time like turning into a morning person, because you got to do that. Little things like that, and getting myself in a position that when things are ready to happen, I was ready. He needed a job, and I was ready, you know. And when I wanted to, I'll just say about that, because he was he was kind of was very standoffish when I got sober, because he didn't know what was going on.
I can
Many times
imagine, man. You've been through a
yeah,
lot, right?
yeah, and I always said I was getting better, but he didn't totally trust me, and I wanted to go and just make him come back into my life, and he didn't really want that. And so if I would have done that, then I had nothing to offer him then, you know, not even I was just barely learning to live, as a kind of a proper human life, you know. So I had to let it happen the way it wanted, and it just happened just perfectly. Is that he just told my wife he was looking for a job. She told me, and I called him and said, I'll give you a job. And he, it's like just the perfect timing. If I tried that any time earlier, I don't think it would have turned out the good way, the same way. But
Well,
I feel the struggle with it, man. The kids, man, I tell you, I didn't know it. Do you have one son?
yeah, one child. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know it when I was younger, when I had kids. But kids, the older you get, man, they're like the riches of your life,
Yeah, man.
They
Yeah.
really are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Absolutely. It's amazing. The most incredible thing in my life is my child, for
Yeah.
sure, hands down.
Yeah. I'm just amazed. Like, there's something that my wife always says, is that our our ceiling is their floor. Have you ever heard that saying? Like, my where I go in life is right here, That's where they start.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want my ceiling to be high. I want them to
Yeah,
start
man.
standing. I'm not talking about just monetary money stuff. That's good, but I'm talking about where I am as a man. I want my ceiling to be up here so that my kids can grow from this, and not
Yeah.
down here.
Yeah, man. I can relate to that 100%. Like, I mean, I can just think of this turning point for me in my life when I don't know. I was selling hearing aids at the time. You know, I've done a lot of different things, and I was a licensed medical professional through the state of Florida Health Department, and but it was kind of a sleazy gig, you know, and I remember my son was doing these like pull-ups off this thing in the bathroom. He was only 3 at the time, and I'm like, boy, what are you doing? You're gonna break the rack. And he's like, I'm getting my muscles back, Dad. He must have heard me say that at some point. I don't know where he got that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're getting your muscles back. He's like, yeah, Daddy, I want to be big and strong like you, Daddy. And I said, boy, you're gonna be bigger and stronger than me. You're gonna be smarter than me. And Ezra, he got really upset with me, like really upset. And he said, Dad, he said, I want to be just like you. I want to do everything that you do. And I'll be honest with you, man, I started to come apart because I thought about all the things that I have done in my life that I never, ever, ever want to see my child do, you know? And the things that even maybe I was doing right in that time. I mean, I was, you know, I had a presentable job, you know, legitimate and everything else. But still, man, like, I don't want my son to have to be talked down on by sales managers and being treated like a commodity and being, you know what I mean, stepped down on and disrespected in any kind of way whatsoever, man. And it was like that. That was a tipping point for me to position my life to find my wholeness, to restore myself, and to create that ceiling for my son's floor. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I understand exactly what you're saying, brother.
Yeah. You know, yeah, and those recovery years, like when I got sober all the way up till like 7 years sober, man, I could barely get it together, like financially. We were making, for family, I had three, my wife and my daughter in the house. I'm probably making like 24,000 a year, 30,000 a year, and barely making it. And one thing that I realized from that time, you know, because that's what I said, it's not all about money, is that I started healing my family during that time. Because we were healing where we're saying it's not just about the financials. It's, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, with doing well and everything. But in that time, I became like a leader in my family and became trustworthy for my daughter, became, you know, somebody that my son could lean on just as a man, you know. And then I was ready to step out into the business world and become more successful in that area. And so it just goes back to that the healing. My wife says that we heal our history, we heal our ancestry when we start healing, you know. And so we can start to heal the ancestry behind us and around us, and going forward when we start working on this, you know.
Man, listen, I'm so grateful for the message that you brought to this platform today, Ezra. I'm so grateful for you reaching out to make this happen. I want to make sure that you tell everybody what you have going on, but based off what you said, healing your healing your ancestry, right? I mean, and setting that floor for your children to stand on, maybe your children's children, right? I think this is a great time to talk about legacy and because this is Live Struggle Legacy, and clearly you are building a legacy, brother. So I mean, please, any closing remarks, any call to action that you have for what you have going on, but ultimately, man, I really want to know what legacy means to you, Ezra.
Oh, man, legacy. You know, I had something. Me and my wife, her dad passed away about 3 years ago.
Sorry to hear.
And I realized, and it was it was in hospice care. We were with him when he passed, and he wasn't on a lot of drugs. It's one of the first times I've been with somebody that wasn't just completely, you know, asleep really, and went through this thing. And I only bring that up because legacy for me is I want to face my fears, and I want to do that through my music. So whatever way it touches the world, but I really care about the people around me, my family, but just people that just touch my life. I want them to see somebody that's not perfect, because man, I'm not perfect at all, but that wakes up and faces their fear. And I brought up my father-in-law's passing, because that's what we're all mortal. We're just here for a little while. And we got to show each other how to live. We got to show each other how to die, and how to do it nobly and with an honest heart, and be true as we can, even when we screw up. that's my legacies. I just I want to do that the best that I can, you know.
Yeah.
And I have a goal. I put away all my big goal, my 10-year goals of all this fame and whatever a long time ago, and I just have a goal of just being all I'm capable of being, and you know, and that's what I want my legacy to be. Is I want my family, I want people from my music to look and go, well, at least I know this one guy that got off his ass and did something, you know, that when everything said that he couldn't. And I know we have those examples everywhere, but we need more of them, and we need them. We need people we know that do that, and our family needs that. And so that's my legacy. And you know, a felon that's gone out and started a business, you know, that's a beautiful thing. All my friends are felons, by the way. All my best buddies, you know. So we joke about that a lot.
I can relate, bro.
Right. So that's, you know, that's what I want. And you know, as far as like checking out my music, you know, if you check out my website, there's like a free download. You can check out a song that is one of my favorite songs that my daughter's singing on, and it's kind of about what we talked about today. And that's on my website. You could just click on the free song, and I'll have my book out soon on ebooks and stuff, and so all that will be through my website. So that's pretty much the place to find everything. Connect with me if you want to write me something. There's a contact there on my website. You can hit me up on the socials.
Excellent, man. Excellent. So you're doing gigs as well, right? So if anybody wants to book you for a show.
Yeah. Give me a call. Yeah. And me and my daughter, which it's usually me and my daughter that are gigging these days.
Excellent. I love that so much, man. That's such a beautiful thing you're doing. You know, a big part of what I do on this podcast is I give people their flowers, right? Us as men, generally, we don't get our flowers until we pass away, brother. So, you know, I see you had this whole rebirth, man. You're doing all these beautiful things. You're standing in all your wholeness and all your authenticity, brother. And I just want to congratulate you. And you know, I want to give you that push to keep going, keep doing your thing, man. Keep building that legacy for yourself, for your family, you know, healing that ancestry line. I mean, what you're doing is really incredible, brother. And so keep going.
Man, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise, brother. Likewise. Yeah. Ezra Vancil. So make sure y'all check out his music at EzraVancil.com. Free downloads. You can check out his book, check out his story, and all things Ezra Vancil. Man, I appreciate you so much, brother.
Man, thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing, man. These are good shows, man. Putting out good stuff.
Thanks so much, man. On that note, it's Ezra Vancil and Live Struggle Legacy. If you haven't already done so, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. If you have a question for Ezra, drop it in the comment section. Start a conversation. If you're listening on a streaming platform, please make sure you hit that follow button, download, save, rate us. If you're looking to promote your business, holler at me. We're looking for sponsors. And please make sure you check out the livestrugglelegacy.com for all things Live Struggle Legacy. We building pyramids.
At Autism Acceptance All-Stars, it's more than awareness, it's action. When you sign up at the AAAS.org, you join a movement for acceptance, inclusion, and real impact. Don't miss our Memories Delivered program. We bring professional photographers right to the homes of autism families, capturing genuine moments in the comfort of their own space. Becoming an All-Star is free, but the difference you make is priceless. Visit the AAAS.org today. Be seen, be heard, be an all-star. If you'd like to promote your business on the show, please DM us for sponsorship opportunities. Thanks for tuning in. We out. Live Struggle Legacy. It's a whole movement.